to the Retirement Guys with Doug Harbaugh. Doug is an advisor with Strategic Wealth Partners, where they have decades of experience under one roof helping folks with retirement plans here in the Independence, Cleveland, and Northeast Ohio area. There's a couple ways to get a hold of Doug and the team. One, you can always give him a call. No cost for this. 216-800-9890. 216-800-9890. You can go to the website and find out a little bit more about you, actually, because there's a couple exercises you can do on the website. One is Wealthalyze, measures how you're managing your wealth. Another one is a portfolio x-ray. You put in your top 10 stock holdings, and then Doug will give you a report. Hey, how are you doing? That website is trg.swpconnect.com. trg.swpconnect.com. I'm Mark Elliot. Glad you're with us today for the Retirement Guys. Also with us, of course, Luke Lloyd, an investment strategist. He was held at gunpoint by the National Guard, unable to get out of downtown last week. Welcome back, Luke. How are you?
Glad to be back. I finally made it out, and I'm here safe. Things got kind of crazy. Calmed down a little bit, though, so we're good now.
Yeah, that's good. And, Doug, you've got a special guest. I'll let you introduce Michael Lewis.
Yeah, Mr. Michael Lewis from the Parma area. How you doing, man?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
So Mike Lewis is like the worldliest of worldly men I've ever met in my life. I actually met him years ago. We were doing some powerlifting together and became friends from there. He actually had purchased a gym for a while. He was a gym owner, but long story short, Mike is a Navy veteran of how many years?
13.
13 years. Mike also is a retired police officer. And you are a professor of criminal justice. Is that what it is?
Yep, sure am.
At Tiffin University. And then we're also having Mike on because in his spare time, because clearly Mike has spare time, having a master's, a bachelor's, retired from the Navy, it seems like retired from the police department, retired from, he's had more jobs and careers than anyone I've ever met. He's a successful human being. But we have him on this week because, number one, he's positive and fun to talk to, but he's also a realtor locally. So I wanted to just chat with someone a little bit different about what's going on in the ground out there. So welcome, Mike.
Great. Thank you very much.
So per the usual, I'm dropping my mic here. Per the weeks, we don't know what's really going on in the world, and I like to kind of keep things loose. I guess the first thing is, Mark, weren't you on vacation last week?
I went and played a little golf down at the Ozarks. Yes.
But so what golf in the Ozarks, what's that like?
That is fantastic. It is fantastic. And the Ozarks really doesn't care about social distancing, I found.
Were you like in the pools, like the Twitter
No,
videos
I was not doing
saw?
that. No, not like the video you saw. But it was a member guest at Portachima, the club at Portachima.
Well, that's what I was just listening to the sports network here, 92.3. And Dustin Fox was down in West Virginia, and I guess there's a resort there's a famous golf course designer. I can't think, Pat Dye maybe, but
Pete
anyways,
Dye.
like
Pete Dye passed away. Yeah, he's done a lot of great courses. Yes,
he's got a course in West Virginia that's the only one that's named after him, and apparently they had basically said, "Hey, do you think you can turn this coal mine into a golf course?" And he did.
Oh wow.
So
that's interesting.
I mean, Mike, are you a golfer?
I try to every once in a while.
Every once in a while?
Yeah, not that good.
You probably hit the ball out of the course. Mike's a powerful man. He's a real powerful man. He's one of the guy that he doesn't work out for a year. He shows up and he still bench presses a Buick.
Yeah, I'm in the weight room every day, and I'm just getting shown up. By both these guys here.
So do you want to have a bench competition with Mike?
No, not to see him, not at all. 6'2", big guy.
Yeah, no, it's a big guy. So you enjoyed your trip down to the Ozarks, man?
I did. So I can tell you that what you're talking about is in Harrison County, West Virginia, just northwest of Bridgeport, West Virginia. It is called the Pete Dye Golf Club.
Supposedly it's really
exactly
cool.
where
Like
that's
you actually drive through the coal mine to get to some of the holes or something. Like you did a really good job. So hopefully I just turned you on to something cool to go check out. Because I'm not a good golfer at all. I like going to golf to hang out with buddies, smoke a cigar, have a cocktail on the turn, but other than that, you might as well bring a bucket of balls because I'm going to lose them all.
Yeah, well, I mean, Bridgeport, West Virginia, we used to play a lot of baseball tournaments down there. And just shout out to Dave's famous T&L hot dogs. You have to visit there if you're down there, by the way.
This kid is so excited. He's yelling about hot dogs.
Hot dogs are great.
All right. So at any rate, man, I said I wanted to bring Mike in because it was interesting. We've talked about real estate, week after week, and before we get into like crazy finances, I mean, obviously, if you want to get a hold of Mike, the phone number is 440-476-2322.
Yes,
if
correct.
you guys are interested in obtaining Mike to help you sell a property. He's the guy to talk to locally here in the Parma, Cleveland, Northeast Ohio area. Again, 440-476-2322. That's Russel Realtors, correct?
Yes, correct.
All right. Again, I think Mike's such a lovable guy. When you see him, you're like, I don't know if I want to just buy the house or hug the guy. And even with the social distancing, you're like, I think I'll break social distancing and hug the guy. But I'm kind of curious, since you've got feet on the pavement. What's going on with the real estate market currently? Is there a lot of inventory? Not a lot of inventory? Like, what's happening? What are you seeing?
Yeah, I appreciate that. Usually from Christmas through March, the real estate market takes a downturn. This year we really didn't see that at all, and after March it just really picked up. The housing market right now, houses are up about 10%, and the inventory, as soon as it comes on the market, it seems to be in a bidding war. So the business is really good. It's been consistent. So yeah, it's been fantastic.
That's wild. So it picked up right during the peak.
It sure did.
Of the COVID, like when we were shutting everything down.
Yep. So it's interesting. I mean, the whole world kind of changed, obviously, in mid-March, and so did real estate. We had to obviously take our precautions as far as doing things differently, like all of us. I mean, virtual open houses, the social distancing with limited amount of tours, if there was any tours. So again, a lot of people kind of took to the internet and did things virtually, which is kind of nice. But yeah, as far as wearing masks and gloves and sanitizing, our world changed a little bit since March in the real estate business.
And you were doing all that while simultaneously being a professor via online for Tiffin.
Correct. So we came back from spring break the week of March 15th, and that Monday I had class. And that was really the furthest thing from my mind was like, I'm not going to be back on campus for a year, till the fall. So we transitioned everything from seated our classes to online pretty seamlessly, actually, which was good.
Tiffin's rural, isn't it? Am I wrong?
Yeah, Tiffin sits as positioned between two cornfields, basically.
Okay.
Sounds like my school, Muskingum.
Yeah. Okay. Sure. Right. In the city of Tiffin, there's the Tiffin University and also Heidelberg University, divided by the river. So, yeah, I think we have about 3,200 students on campus.
Okay, so still a lot of students. Mm-hmm. I mean,
right.
Menor High School has more people, I think.
Sure.
Menor High School is like as big as Ohio State.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So, at any rate, you're a part of all that, and with talking what's going on, with social distancing, and you said you were on the committee to figure out what's going to go on with the school year, and are you allowed to talk about what's?
Sure. Yes. Matter of fact, I mean, a lot of campuses have kind of already publicly announced, for the fall what the plans are.
Okay.
So I was part of this strategic planning committee of what's the best option, for students to come back to campus and for faculty to come back on campus to make it safe. And then also some of our thoughts were what happens if there is a resurgence, in the fall. So we took everything into consideration, and we really kind of did breakout sessions and groups. So the decision was to start a couple weeks early, in August, and then finish kind of around Thanksgiving. So a little bit earlier to kind of avoid that primetime flu season.
Right.
And also having some contingencies as far as possibly having to, quickly adapt to online again, or thinking about the spring if that happens again, after the January.
Yeah, and that's what, with all the online stuff. And again, that's where I talk about, and again, we're a little off topic this week. I want to start doing things a little bit differently on the show, and that's why we have Mike in. Like I said, we're going to have another person in a few weeks. We're just trying to work out the scheduling right now. But I think it's nice to talk about what's going on in the community. And I think what's interesting is the people that have called me who aren't tech savvy have been able to be tech savvy, because every week we throw out the offer for you to come on, do a Zoom meeting with me where we say, hey, you can either plug in your information to our portfolio x-ray at trg.swpconnect.com. And what that is, Mike, is we've created a system where let's say you've got 10 mutual funds and you'd like to know, is this mutual fund good? Is it bad? Is it underperforming? What you can do is you can go to trg.swpconnect.com. You can enter in your holdings, and what I do is put together a customizable report. Okay, and that customizable report lets you know if there's leaks in the plumbing financially per se, right? And then from there, we can kind of figure out, is there a way to kind of better your circumstances? So what I found fascinating is I've had a lot of people in their 70s call me and say, gosh, I really don't know how all this technology works. And people that really don't use computers are still finding it easy once you kind of walk through the process a little bit to kind of communicate, to have meetings and such. Have you found it like a challenge to kind of change how you do things?
That's a good question. And I think regardless of any business, we're in unprecedented times. And, the status quo or business as normal is no longer an option for any of us, regardless of what profession we're in. So, yeah, just being adaptable and being able to improvise, with these Zoom meetings and different things like that. It is a challenge. I find that the younger generation, of course, students or younger faculty, that's not a problem at all. It's pretty easy, to really incorporate all that technology into their daily, routine in academics. And then for some of us who are a little bit older, it's a little bit of a challenge, but you have to stay ahead of the curve and understand that, again, yesterday is yesterday, and we don't know what the future is going to bring. So,
well, Zoom was changing on the fly.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So,
Correct.
like every week, I would log into my Zoom account and I had to click somewhere else.
right.
And that's where, like I said, a lot of people that call, they're like, Doug, I want to come in and meet with you, but I don't. I still am afraid of coronavirus, and I don't understand this technology. I've downloaded it, and it's telling me I got to click somewhere else, and it's that's what I'm saying. I'm just curious if you yourself, when you first started the process of teaching online, were you kind of like, oh, how does this work?
Right. Well, fortunately for me, I was in charge of an online program.
Oh, you're in charge. Oh, see, again,
at one point.
So this guy, again, former Navy police officer, right? You're an ordained minister too, aren't you?
I am.
Jack of all trades.
I guess.
That's what
He's
you
an
call it.
ordained minister. He could. You know what? If I was into to boys here,
jeez.
Mike could marry us.
I've done weddings, so.
But it's amazing the amount of stuff that you pick up. I mean, what are you, 52?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
If you lived 15 lifetimes?
Well, I don't like to stay stagnant. I always like to continue to accept challenges and to keep moving forward.
Well, I think that's what's important. You just hit on it. Accept challenges and move forward, and that's what a lot of people don't do, right? And that's why kind of bringing it into the financial planning aspect and kind of what we do is that we are playing around that. We are accepting new challenges because things are changing all the time.
And that's what you think of.
Right.
Mark, who's been very quiet over there after his trip from the Ozarks. You got this guy signed with the Dodgers when he was 17.
Awesome.
He was washed up when he was 20 and decided to go be a college quarterback.
Okay, great.
But he's probably had a life like you. You know what I mean? He's probably done all kinds of cool stuff. You know what I mean? Every time
I need to do all this cool stuff.
Every time I'm by Mike Lewis, I can't understand how he gets the stuff that he gets done in a given day. He must have like cheat codes. Remember when like video games?
Like you can plug in, and like get ahead.
That's
Unlimited power.
Yeah,
Right.
unlimited power.
I don't know about
That's
that.
where the bench press comes from.
It's great to take advantage of opportunities, and again, life is about networking and having these connections and positioning yourself. And again, like you said, about positioning yourself for retirement. That's something that, again, during challenging times or even during times of normalcy, that's still something you should plan for and make sure that there is that plan of motion for the long term.
Absolutely. And again, we've got Michael Lewis here. Many of you in the Parma area, I'm sure you know who he is, just because he's such a handsome man. But if you want to get a hold of Mike for his real estate services, again, 440-476-2322. And per the usual, if you want to give us a call at 216-800-9890.
So glad you're with us today for the Retirement Guys. Michael's going to stay with us for one more segment. Then we'll talk about financial things in our final two with Doug and with Luke. Glad you're with us. You heard the numbers from Doug. It's 216-800-9890 if you have any questions. But you can always go to the website. Great exercise you can perform right there to find out more about your own situation. trg.swpconnect.com. Stay with us. This is the Retirement Guys with Doug Harbaugh and Luke Lloyd with special guest Michael Lewis. Back right after this. you're with us today for the Retirement Guys with Doug Harbaugh. Doug, an advisor with Strategic Wealth Partners. You can find out more on his website, trg.swpconnect.com, trg.swpconnect.com. You can also give him a call if you have questions. Hey, are you doing the right things? Should you wait until the fall? Hey, I don't know what's going to happen down the road, so I'm just going to wait and see. So should you be reactive or should you be proactive? Well, you can be proactive by going to the website, trg.swpconnect.com, but you can always call Doug, 216-800-9890, 216-800-9890. Luke, we've kicked Luke Lloyd out of the show this segment. We're going to bring him back in our third and fourth segments when we talk more about the financial stuff. And, of course, Doug has a special guest, Michael Lewis, former Navy, former policeman, a professor at Tiffin University. Criminal justice would be his area of expertise, and, of course, a realtor as well. So, Doug, you kind of tongue-in-cheek said that, I've done a lot of things. Well, I've done a lot of things that were really for me. Sounds like Michael has done a lot of things that were really for others.
Yeah, he's unfortunately a really nice human being. Yeah, no, he's definitely a good guy. That's why, and I just by chance invited him on today. So originally when he got here, he said he was a little nervous. He had notes and stuff, and I said no notes. Because we don't prepare.
I probably would have wore a suit too, but
you probably would have wore a suit too. It's all right. It's not like we're going out on some of the televised networks, but we do record these things for our podcasts. I think one of the other reasons I wanted to have you in is I'm kind of curious when all this started to happen and people's accounts were down 10, 15, 20, 30%. Is this something that, so little background, when I've spoken to cops in the past, firemen or people of that, they don't like sharing anything financial at all. They are like full lockdown. And what I'm curious with you being in that community, a couple of, mutual friends that we know, your friends that I know, do you feel like anybody was panicking when the market was crashing, or were they more worried about the virus? I mean, what did you guys talk about when you talked to your friends?
Yeah, that's a very good question. And, people in public safety service, they are kind of locked in with the retirements, as far as the 25 or the 30-year retirement, plan through either PERS or police and fire pension. So that is pretty stable. Although it has changed over the past several years,
it's changed significantly.
It's still stable. And I think that the conversation as far as the people sticking around for that extra amount of time, with money in their deferred comp or the drop program, that's a possibility where there's going to be some losses, at least short term, I would think.
Well, in the drop, the interest rate, I'm sure it can't be very good, right?
Not now.
No. Not currently. And, you're putting a ton of money into it that, great, you can set aside tax deferred for, retirement, and you can set aside a ton of it, but it doesn't pay a whole lot of growth. But my direct question is, do you feel that the community that you work in, your friends, people your age, that when this happened, were they more concerned financially or were they more concerned about the virus?
I think more concerned about the virus and the safety of their communities that they serve, and then also, of course, for them and, for themselves as well, just being exposed to, a lot of potential, people with the virus.
It seems like it's a running theme because anyone I talk to, one of the things that has been resounding is I didn't want to look at my account. I had other things to worry about.
Right.
It's amazing where you compile, all this money after all these years and you're saving and saving and saving, and you're more worried about wiping down your groceries than what you have in your accounts.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think we shifted a little bit just as a society as far as our mentality of not looking briefly at the long term and just focusing in on your health and well-being for the time being.
Which again, I think there's two sides of this coin here, where I think a lot of uglies come out of this. Unfortunately, a lot of people's worst has come out, and then there's a lot of things where you see good things come out from people, and it's maybe refocusing on family and friends, and not focusing on money is a good thing in the short term, but you definitely can't just keep putting it off and wondering what you have. I mean, Mark, when you talk to your friends when the market was down 35%, did anyone really talk about their money, or were they more concerned about not getting coronavirus? Mark, you there? Did we lose Mark? I think we lost him.
Yeah, I think a lot of that is the uncertainty of what tomorrow is going to bring, for themselves and for their family. So,
Yeah. Well, I definitely agree. And it's unfortunate we lost Mark in Topeka, but the good news is we're recording, and he's probably going to hop back on and be like, hey, guys, lost you there on the link, and everything's good to go. You hope. But no, I think it's interesting that it's weird. Like I said, people are typically so financially centric. Like they're like, and all of a sudden we have this disease that just kind of changed people's mindsets.
right.
Like I didn't really see a ton of panic financially. It was just more of, we got to keep grandma away from everyone.
Everything's on hold for the time being.
Yeah,
And it did. The world kind of froze for a little bit,
It's still frozen in a weird way.
It is, yeah.
I think that there's a small segment of society that's running out, and that's running the streets and going to the bars like this young kid over here. I'm sure your boys are going out and doing their thing within reason, except for Mitch. Well, did Mitch graduate?
He is now, yeah. He's going to BW in the fall.
Okay,
Yeah.
so Mitch is going to BW, and then Michael's, what is he, 22 now?
4.
Michael's 24? Oh, Jesus.
Yeah.
I said 22. Are you sure he's 24?
Pretty sure.
It's older than me.
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Yes.
That's nuts. Michael can't be 24.
He is.
And then how old's your oldest son?
He'll be 27.
I got a brain cramp. What's his name?
Yeah. Matthew.
Matthew.
Yeah.
That's weird. I thought like Mitch was just 4.
Yeah.
And
he was. They're getting older, not us.
and I was just at like states,
Right.
or not
Yeah.
states, districts or whatever, watching him wrestle.
I know, right?
That's wild.
Blink of an eye.
Yeah, so at any rate, I guess we're babbling on the show here. And again, we have Michael Lewis. He's a realtor with Russel Realtors, 440-476-2322. At the end of the day, if you would like some wonderful real estate help, you give Mike a call, 440-476-2322. Again, we're going to try to have different guests on each week to talk about something a little bit different, instead of just talking about the stock market, which we do every week after week after week. It's nice to have someone different in. Mike's got to run to a meeting, but I want to thank Mr. Mike Lewis for coming in and having a chat with us. Enjoy the weather, sir, and hope to have you again in the future.
My pleasure. Thank you so much.
Well, take care.
Thank you.
Welcome back to the Retirement Guys. I'm Mark Elliot, working from home with Zoom. So welcome to that when things don't exactly go as smoothly as you would like. Doug Harbaugh, Luke Lloyd back with us with Strategic Wealth Partners. We're all hoping that things go a little smoother the second half of the show. Appreciate Michael Lewis coming in, talking about the realtor world. It's kind of interesting, Doug, that he said that, hey, when houses go on sale are about 10% up what they've been, but they don't stay around very long. So, and you brought it up that, hey, that happened right in March when this whole thing kind of hit us, and the real estate field has actually kind of been booming a little bit. Kind of interesting.
Well, you've got 3 things, right? Here's the thing. You've got these interest rates that are all-time lows. So the thing is, these 30-year mortgages are so low that people are just snapping them up when they can. And then the other thing is that nobody felt the pain, right? So you had the whole PPP program with businesses. You had unemployment. People who got unemployed are receiving more money than when they were employed. And then people who were still employed are still making good money. So no one felt the pain. That's the second thing. And then the third thing is that,
I don't know if you could say no one felt the pain when you have over 100,000 small businesses go out of business. So
people felt the pain, but not to the extent that most people were thinking, right?
Right. Okay.
And then the other thing is it's going to be down the road. You got to look it's going to be like a lagging indicator. It's going to be about 2 years out until maybe we'll see the effects of this high unemployment. And if people don't get hired back as quickly, that's going to be an issue in the long term.
Yeah, no, I think a lot of the rush is there's no inventory.
Right.
So if there's no inventory, people are going to put in offers. I was talking to a guy at Indy Supply. It's an equipment operator. They have materials for building materials. One of my friends, Chris, is I guess he's a manager there. But I was talking to one of the other employees, Tim, and Tim was telling me that he's gone in to properties to put on bids. So let's say a house is listing for $120, and he's like, all right, I'm going to offer $130, and he's being outbid.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because the inventory on the smaller starter home or the more moderately priced home, there is none.
Right. And I really didn't hit on the third thing, but the thing is with the coronavirus situation, people are learning, like you said, you're working from home right now, Mark, on Zoom. So a lot of people are realizing I don't have to live in the city anymore. So you've seen a kind of an exodus. You'll see an exodus about a year from now, I think, that from the urban cities to the suburbs. And I think because
the suburbs?
Suburban. Yeah. The suburbs.
Suburbs.
Yeah, you know what I mean. But anyway, so with that exit, I think you're going to see some suburban real estate prices propped up.
You're going to move to the suburbs.
Is this like a West Virginia thing? Am I sounding weird?
No, you suburbs, but it was the way you enunciated it. Suburbs.
My enunciation's never been clear.
It's strange. That was like years ago. I used to mess with my wife. And you know Ben Affleck, right? That's how you say Ben Affleck.
Yeah.
I would say Ben Affleck. And she's like, "What do you, Ben Affleck?"
Yeah.
And they're like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I'm thinking his name."
Right.
She's for a minute there thought I was saying Ben Affleck and meant it.
No, I feel.
But you were like suburbs.
Suburbs. Yeah, well,
Must have been a West Virginia thing.
But yeah, I mean, you have the coronavirus situation. You have all the craziness that's happening right now. I mean, I think you will see that exodus from the urban cities.
There's sure there's going to be something happening, you know, like whatever's going on in the background at Mark's. You know what I mean? I hear all kinds of weird stuff. So in the last segment, when we were trying to talk to you, obviously Mark, we had some technical difficulties with Luke's mic and with Mark. And if you, we're going to leave that one in the show because it's kind of fun. I'm going, Mark, you there? Hello,
Where you
Mark.
at?
Hello.
I'm here. Yes.
Yeah, I'm glad you're here. I was actually nervous. I was like, Mark's
What happened to Mark?
He left us. You know what I mean? He was gone. He just quit middle of the show. He's like, we're not going to do this anymore. I'm sick of listening to Doug get on his soapbox and pontificate about how to do things better with your finances. And again, that's another reason. I talked to actually one of the callers from last week, and she told me that she enjoys that I'm passionate, and it reflects as real, because it is. And I think what I find, again, frustrating about how crazy the world is, and just like talking to Mike in the last segment, is I guess it's good that people wanted to focus on their health, but like they kind of put their finances on the back burner as if it was an afterthought, which is remarkable. I mean, some of the people that have called in and have signed on with us, we went through the process to see if, it made sense for us to mutually work together. Those are few and far between. It seems like more people are just like, well, we'll see how this shakes out. And what I think is even wilder right now is, let's say they don't print any more money, right? And let's say someone else gets into office, which is looking like a possibility that we can elect a guy that might not even make it through an entire term, which is even scarier for our economy. If you want to see the markets freak out, elect a president from a different political party who could quite possibly not be in the best of health. You know what I mean? And again, I'll leave it like that. Could just not best of health.
Hey, that could be the transition back to a fairly valued market. You know what I mean? We're trading 23 times now. I mean, a fairly valued market 16 times. That could take it back down to 2,400.
Look, I hope the stock market keeps carrying on. Let's be honest. I'm making money. People are making
Everyone's
money.
making money. Everyone's happy.
Everyone's happy. That's why a lot of people are like, I'll just stick with my guy who's sitting on his hands, who bought me these mutual funds, who hasn't done anything productive. And that's what I still find frustrating is...
Again, haven't felt the pain.
No, there's no pain whatsoever. It's amazing. Some people come in and they're like, yeah, so what's up? And I'm like, I don't know. You wanted a meeting with me? Like, I just wanted to see what I had.
It's interesting. Everyone was so sad 2 months ago. I mean, it was because of the coronavirus. I get that. But from the market, just from a market standpoint, they were so scared about what was happening. So they really weren't in the right position. And then now things are back to normal, that they're like, okay, well, I can just go back to what I was doing and I'll be completely fine in the long run. And that's not true. No,
it's definitely not true. Again, it's frustrating to me if I talk about it every week and it sounds like I'm irritated. I am, and it's more so that people won't do things to help themselves. And obviously, one of the things I had to teach myself in life, and I have to remind myself constantly, is people have their own perceptions. They have their own beliefs and their own thought process. And it's my job to help them kind of delineate what they should really be looking at. And that's why I'm so passionate every week, because I am not going to work with everybody that calls the show. But I'm happy to talk to people. I had a retired police officer I spoke to earlier today who called from the show last week. I was happy to talk to him. Turns out he actually worked with my one of my old ball coaches, Dennis Savelik, who unfortunately passed away a few years ago. But it was such a small world to talk to the gentleman today, and I'm happy to give the guy free advice. You know, so that's a lot of times when you call in, we might just end up chatting about what's going on.
We don't even know if we can help you at that point. We need to know your situation.
No,
right?
he asked me my opinion. I said, all right, so if you want a non-planning opinion, right, this is based on just what I know from what we're chatting on, here's the information.
Right.
And take it as it is. This is all that I can get, but I'm happy to talk to you about it. So again, if that's you, if you're not sure if it makes sense for, to work with somebody, that's fine, but you can call me anyways at 216-800-9890. I'll give you a call on Monday and, we'll chat about your circumstances. We'll see what you're trying to accomplish. We'll see if there's ways for you to improve upon that. But again, we can't do that unless you give me a call at 216-800-9890.
This is the Retirement Guys with Doug Harbaugh and Luke Lloyd with Strategic Wealth Partners. I'm Mark Elliot. And, before we move into our final segment, I do really want to hear about Luke's week last week where he couldn't make it into the show. I've had technical difficulties today. I'll give you that. But Luke wasn't even allowed to get out of downtown. So, Luke, what happened?
Well, like you said, I was locked downtown. I was trying to get out. I called actually the police station around 8:30 a.m. because nobody really knew what was going on. So I expected some clarity from them. And when I called in, they said, we don't even know what's going on. The information's changing every 5 minutes. And so I said, okay, if I leave the city, am I able to get back in? And they said, well, we can't tell you the answer right now. So they said it was probably in my best interest just to stay home. And that's what I did. I stayed home and I worked from home that day. And then things started clearing up a couple of days later. But the next day when I came back, I actually had to show my ID to even get back into the city. So things were kind of hectic downtown. And, I went away this weekend to the beach, kind of get away a little bit, clear my head. And now I'm back.
Now you're back and refocused and ready to help people.
He stayed home and ate pizza.
I ate Taco Bell last night, I'll be honest. That was good.
Yeah.
I'm a fan of Taco Bell. Only fast food I'm a fan of is Taco Bell.
I don't know if
But anyway, I'm back and there's a lot of uncertainty right there.
Why do we let you work here?
Beats me. No,
he's the least.
Because, like you said, I'm passionate about what I do.
He is passionate. He started trading in high school. It's something that he really enjoys. He's got 47 different majors. Smart kid, but then he's also a dumb kid. He's one of those kids.
It's the common sense thing.
Oh,
right?
He has.
I'm book smart, but I've been told my entire life, Luke, you have zero common sense about life. Right?
He grew up in a town with no stoplights.
Yeah, Martin's Ferry. You don't want to go there. It's not a cool city for sure.
It's like you tell him something, and there's times where he has an incredulous look on his face, like, is that real life?
Yeah,
but again, it's why we have a different mix. Like I'm very worldly. I'm rounded. I've well-rounded. I've done a lot of things in my life.
You have that wisdom,
If it wasn't for me, I don't think this kid would know how to tie his shoes. But he's good at the the technical side. Thank God. Otherwise, we'd have no shoes and he'd be lost somewhere in Martin's Ferry.
Hey, it is what it is.
So explain to me this then. Luke, I'm going to cover for you here. So we're going to move on to a different topic. So why are so many different parts of the market hitting? There's parts of the market that are hitting all-time highs that they've never been there before. What is that? Because more and more companies are going back to work? Why? Well, because we've talked about before, there's not a real correlation between the economy and the stock market, but what's going on?
There are so many different things going on that it's like, so example, like Carnival, Norwegian, some of those prices are going back up, because they were anticipating being able to start going on cruises again. I have no idea how that's going to function. Matter of fact, I don't even understand how you can say we're going to have a cruise ship that's going to be full, we're not losing money on. So it's almost like they'd be operating at a loss to continue cruising in certain markets. Right, and then you almost have to exclude certain markets and say we're only going to sail out of certain areas and go to certain islands. And are the islands even going to let you travel to where they are? Meaning that, like, you have to think about it. If St. Thomas doesn't want people showing up regardless of the revenue, right? St. Thomas can be like, hey, we don't want you going to this side. So there might be different itineraries. The cruises might not be so good. So I think some of the people jumping back on Carnival and Norwegian and things like that, it's got to be a little bit of FOMO. I mean, to me, it doesn't make sense. My aunt asked me the other day, and I know you want to say something. My aunt asked me, should I buy in Carnival? And it's like, I mean, you could take a flyer on it. It's not that it's, really expensive, but imagine if you bought it because you had FOMO and you bought it at 25 and then the thing's running at 12.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And you lost your investment because you only bought for fear of missing out.
Well, one of the other reasons, let's put it like this, Mark. If I told you could get an investment that's going to give you 0.942%, so 0.94% a year, would you take that investment?
It'd be like a CD.
Yeah, probably even less than a CD, right? So these 10-year treasury yields are 0.942%. That's what a 10-year treasury is right now. So there's no yield. If you go anywhere else outside of the U.S. government, you're looking at negative yields.
Yeah. So one of the reasons is because bonds stink.
Well, everything kind of stinks right now. So the only place to be is equities.
In the stocks, right?
Yes.
And I got all that, but what I'm saying is, like, again, with these valuations, it doesn't make sense.
Well, that's what I was saying. The market's trading at 23 times.
So a lot of people don't understand how we operate. We have an investment committee. That investment committee talks about what's going on multiple levels across multiple sectors in the world to figure out, how we should be invested. And we do that as a team. And again, a resounding theme is, like, when you have people coming in that have been in the market, they stay in the market because right now it's almost like if you fight against the market's just going to keep going up right now.
You're going to get burned.
Now, with that being said, you have to make sure that you're just not riding some passive investment and sitting and forgetting it. As we talk about it every week, rebalancing gets you 25% every year. Okay? Making sure that you're holding companies that are fundamentally sound, right? That have strong balance sheets. Making sure that you're holding companies that you didn't buy out of FOMO. You bought it because you know that you want to hold it long term. It's okay to take a flyer once in a while on, some of these random stocks and go, hey, I bought this in March. Awesome. I'm so glad you bought something in March. Guess what? If that thing's doubled in price, run.
Well, that's called discipline, right? That's called sell discipline. And that's why that's a behavioral finance area that a lot of people get themselves into.
Oh my God. They think they're going to keep making money on top of money on top of money on top of money. And it's like, I had a friend tell me about a pharmaceutical company he works for, and he gave me the ticker, and I'm not going to say the ticker right now, but the stock has doubled in price since March. Yep. And he goes, you should take a flyer on it. I'm like, where were you on March 15th when this thing
was... Easy money. That's what we call easy money was already made.
Easy money. And me, for example, I have sell discipline. I've always told you about it. You're into some creative stuff, but I have buy and sell discipline. And I don't believe the general public has buy or sell discipline. And that's one of the primary things when we look at a good advisor is having an advisor that can temper your emotions, help you understand what you're in and why, to help you make educated decisions, not emotional decisions. A good advisor is going to gain you growth by stopping you from making irrational decisions.
Well, if you have an advisor already out there and, they're just put you in a passively managed, mutual fund or put you in a passively managed portfolio, then they're not going to be actively looking at it, right? And then for you people out there that do it yourselves, I mean, you don't have probably the time to spend every single day looking at the stock market, looking at individual securities to make sure that you have the best of breed stocks out there. And that's why having an investment team behind you that's going to be able to look at the Bloomberg terminals every single day, keep up with the recent news because it's changing every day, is so important in this scenario, especially with the post-coronavirus situation.
One thing that's interesting in the way people invest is, let's say we've got an account and that account's got $250,000, right? And I get phone calls where they ask me if they should buy a singular stock. And I go, what do you mean you want to buy a singular stock? And it's as if they are hoping that they can take a chunk of their money and hit a home run, right? And I am so firmly against that because I've always said it that the tortoise will always win.
It's true.
Okay? And the tortoise wins by being consistent. By being consistent, by holding the right investments, by rebalancing systematically, by getting out of sectors and positions that you don't belong in, right? When you looked at what was happening with Russia and the Saudis, right, earlier this year, We knew there's going to be a problem in that sector. You move on from that sector. Has that sector rebounded?
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, the hurt sectors are going to rebound quicker, but you don't want to be in them very long. And it's very hard to time the bottoms because you could get burned really quickly.
Right. We moved on as soon as we saw that Putin and the Saudis were doing something weird. Right. And that's the difference. You need to be able to be working with somebody that has cell discipline. Right? That you have a finite reasoning why you're doing what you're doing. That's why I trust our equity strategist. He is very cut and dry. He does not pull any punches.
He tells you how it is.
He tells you exactly
Every
how it
day
is.
we're in there, you know, talk with him, you know, what's the stock of the day? And he'll tell you exactly what it is and how it is and where it's going to go.
Right. So, and I just think that's important. You know, you shouldn't just be in a set it and forget it. If you didn't see any action in your portfolios, again, I've said it before, if you're not going to call me at 216-800-9890 or go to trg.swpconnect.com to book an appointment with me, call somebody and say, how come my guy just sat and did nothing this year? How come he didn't rebalance at the first of the year? How come he didn't rebalance after the first quarter? How come when the market went down, he only called me just to ask if I was okay, but didn't dig any deeper? If you're sitting in those same mutual funds and you haven't done anything tactful, you need to call someone else. And that's what I'm saying. If you don't want to call me, maybe you don't like, again, bald guys with beards. Maybe you don't like how blunt I am about things, or maybe you feel that I'm going to tell you what you have is wrong. But wouldn't you rather know that what you're in is wrong and it is not set up for success in the future, and all you had to do was make a phone call?
Yeah. Or maybe you don't like bald guys and you like guys with hair, give me a call.
Yeah, don't call Luke. This is my show. He's a junior advisor. He's a bum.
So there you go. 216-800-9890 is the number. 216-800-9890. And of course, that website, trg.swpconnect.com. trg.swpconnect.com. Our final segment is straight ahead. We'll get our final thoughts from Doug and Luke right after this. Glad you're with us today. This is the Retirement Guides with Doug Harbaugh and Luke Lloyd with Strategic Wealth Partners. Welcome back to the Retirement Guys with Doug Harbaugh. Doug, an advisor with Strategic Wealth Partners, helping folks just like you with their retirement plans in the Independence, Cleveland, and Northeast Ohio area. Also with us, of course, Luke Lloyd, an investment strategist with Strategic Wealth Partners. I'm Mark Elliot. You can find out more on the website, trg.swpconnect.com, trg.swpconnect.com. Be a great time to get the portfolio x-ray. It's right there on the website. And you put in your top 10 stock holdings, and Doug and the team will look at those and give you an idea of where you stand. Are you on the right track? Do you need to make a tweak here or there? trg.swpconnect.com. And if you just want to call and have a chat, it's 216-800-9890. 216-800-9890. You know, really interesting talking to you guys every single week is the fact that you say it's really almost like going to Vegas. If I go to Vegas, and I don't do it very often, but I typically, and I'm kind of cheap, I'm not a real gambler. So I will take like $100, and if once I made that 100 back, it goes right into my pocket. So I'm never going to lose more than what and actually I'm not going to lose any at that point, but I have a limit. And when I'm ahead, I tend to walk away. And in the stock market, people don't tend to walk away. They keep, it's got to come back, or it's going to keep going higher. I mean, how do you help people kind of look at it more, I guess, realistically than the way we like to look at it through those rose-colored lenses?
I have to tell people not to be greedy.
Or don't invest like you're gambling. It shouldn't even come down to that.
Yeah, no, I mean, we don't invest in anything speculative, nor would I ever.
Well, when you say speculative, you're talking about like penny stocks, right?
We'll
invest in growth-oriented like businesses, like, you know, I'm not saying go and buy Zoom, but Zoom is a very speculative stock right now, right? So I'm not, you know, stocks like that we'd take a look at.
So I mean,
so you're all in Bitcoin now, then?
No.
Oh, no.
I don't
No. There's not even a joke about that kind of nonsense, because someone out there will go buy Bitcoin. At the end of the day, we do not operate in a world or in a vacuum where we purchase something that we cannot understand what the company does. Nothing where the technology doesn't produce a predictable revenue. So yeah, I mean, there's companies out there where people are like, oh, this pharma company is making a cure for short people, you know?
No, but I mean, the thing is, investing should never be like gambling, right? I'm actually going to Vegas here in about a month. So when I'm out there, I'm going to have, like you said, the sell discipline, right? I'm not really too big of a gambler, right? I enjoy a nice little blackjack hand. But when I'm out there, if I make my money back, like you said, I'm going to put it in the pocket. But if you're investing, market returns, over the past century, it's like, I think it's roughly 6 to 7%, the market will return. How you outperform that is to understand how the market works, to understand what sectors are going to be, the benefited the most over the next, decade or so. That's how you kind of add value to your portfolio. And then there's simple things out there, like you said, rebalancing, that you can just add simple things to add alpha to your portfolio.
Investing is not gambling.
Not at all.
There's an idiot on some other networks who likes to say that in order to inspire you to buy annuities. Again, there's nothing wrong with annuities with respect to a total balanced portfolio. And I don't care. I mean, it's not like I'm saying his name, but I think, number one, you're preying on people's fears, and it's disgusting to tell people that investing in Wall Street casino. Really? Really, dummy? Are you even licensed to be telling people this, or are you just a life insurance agent that's pushing annuities?
Probably the latter.
So probably the latter. And I'm sure he's a nice guy, and he believes in whatever crap he's selling, but it really irritates me to no end, and I'd be happy to stand with this gentleman face to face and let him know how ridiculous I think he is in his advertising, to tell people that, oh, the casino of Wall Street, you guys are going to lose everything. Are we?
Well, I mean, the thing is, you got to position yourself differently throughout the years as well, right? I mean, you take on more risk when you're younger, and then when you're older, you take on less risk. So, I mean, it's all positioned correctly if you do it right.
So now we're talking risk, and then people believe we're supposed to just shift the bonds.
No,
or in this guy, or in this guy's. But you got to watch what you say, because people will legitimately believe, like they have for all these years, that I'm 65, I need to be in bonds. And bonds are yielding nothing now.
Nothing. That's what we talked about earlier.
Nothing. So that's one thing. You have to be able to discern the difference in the ever-changing climate of finance in this world. And it's, again, you want to see where I'm irritated? I'm irritated the fact that there's other people out there that are legally allowed to get on the radio or television, tell people that Wall Street's a casino. It's not. Buying Microsoft is not a casino. We know what Microsoft does.
Yeah.
Okay? Buying CVS, Target, Walmart, we know what they do. We know what they're selling, how they're selling it, and we know how their revenues are created. Doesn't sound like we're gambling there, does it?
Not at all.
And then we're not, the fact that people just sit on their butts and tell people, hi, guess what? I'm going to put you in a safe fund because you're 65. Yeah, don't worry, buddy. You're going to be fine. I'm going to put all your money in PIMCO bonds. Yeah.
Well, when you talk about gambling too.
No. Let me finish. Don't go off gambling. You've got these people out there that are so lazy that they're using an old functioning thing that doesn't function anymore, and literally are telling people that you should move into bonds because you're old. I have no problem with you holding bonds, but it needs to be in the right correlation. So the difference is people do not understand what real risk is. Okay, so you could have interest rate risk by being in bonds.
Yeah.
You could have credit risk by being in bonds.
Yeah, a lot of people don't even know they own like the low quality bonds that they can default and go to zero.
And you get nothing.
Yeah.
And you get nothing holding that bond. I'm okay with holding bonds, but you have to be able to change the bonds that you're in based on what's going on in the world. There's easy money right now that's great. Bonds are yielding nothing.
Well, there's even other ways to add diversification, like gold or like other asset classes that move in different directions. It shouldn't just be maybe stocks and bonds. It maybe could be other things as well.
Right. And look, at the end of the day, if you've got an advisor who tells you that all you should do, you're older, you should buy an annuity or you should just jump into bonds, number one, he's lazy. He doesn't know what he's doing, right? And he's just either trying to sell you something for a commission or he doesn't know any better. Okay? You need to do something more sophisticated with the money that you've worked hard for. If I sound irritated, it's because I am. It's because every time I see these commercials of these slackers out there that are being lazy and telling you that you should invest all of your money into an indexed annuity, and again, there's nothing wrong with them, but guess what? The average return for an index annuity over the last 15 years, and how do I know that? Because I've sold them too, but I sell them as a part of a total portfolio that holds stocks and holds ETFs and holds different things that are actively traded. And the annuity is a piece, a sleeve. It is an alternative investment. They average 3.5%. They average 3.5%.
A lot better than bonds.
That's fine.
Paying you 1%.
Use 10% of your portfolio,
Yeah.
20% of your portfolio. It should not be 100% of your money in this index annuity.
And it all comes down to your financial plan, too. That's going to dictate kind of what your portfolio should hold.
If it even makes sense.
Exactly.
It'll tell you in the Monte Carlo if you should be holding an annuity.
If you don't even have a financial plan put together and your advisor's giving you recommendations, I mean, that's a sign right there that it probably won't go the best way possible because, they don't even know every single variable in your situation. You have to have that plan that's going to dictate your whole situation.
Right. A gentleman who called me earlier today, he asked me, here's what's going on with my wife and I. Here's what I'm looking to do. And I said, look, man, I can do a plan for you and give you exacts. We'll talk later about it. And if you want an off the cuff, here's what I would recommend. But at the end of the day, I didn't tell him to buy anything.
Right.
This is more some like life coaching stuff. Like,
Right.
all right, if I was you, here's what I would do.
And that's why on this show we're giving general advice that should be followed in regards to your and not to your financial situation personally, because that's more of a personal advice, and that's only way we can dictate that is through a financial plan.
Right, and again, that's why every week when we talk about it, I get impassioned about it because it's important to me that you get better, and that's why I always say, you deserve sophisticated, you deserve dynamic, you deserve strategic. And that's why you need to give me a call at 216-800-9890. Let's just chat about what's going on, or go to trg.swpconnect.com to book an appointment, or check out our portfolio x-ray where you can enter in your top 10 holdings or whatever holdings that you may have, and we'll put together a customizable report for you. And that report will let you know if you're good, maybe not so good, or maybe in a really bad place, and how to move on from there.
So again, trg.swpconnect.com. And besides the portfolio x-ray that Doug was talking about, the top 10 stock holdings, and they'll, kind of give you an idea of where you are with those. There's also Wealthalize, which measures how you're managing your wealth. So there's a couple cool things on there that you can do. Plus, you can learn more about Doug and the team at Strategic Wealth Partners, trg.swpconnect.com. And if you just want to chat, it's 216-800-9890. And if you want to get deeper into your own specific situation, like Luke said, it is about you, but we can't talk about you on the radio because we don't really know the story at this point. That's why you've got to come and sit with them, or you do a virtual meeting, whichever you're more comfortable with. It's 216-800-9890. Guys, good to talk to you. Always enjoy it. Always gain some knowledge every single week on the program. So I appreciate it. So stay safe. We'll chat again next week.
See ya.
Thanks, Mark.